Hello. Um, I'm inspired to make this video by a message I heard on YouTube. And I'm going to link it to this YouTuber. And actually, I'm going to talk pretending as if I'm talking to him like a one on one because it would feel more natural, although I am talking to everybody. Because he talked about messages that he received, and I'm going to just talk about one where he said, attached to Trump is a problem. And also, Trump plus Biden equals servitude. And so I did a bit of sort of within my process. And I came up with the fact that well, for me, it's not really a fact, it's just what I think. Problem is servitude. And Biden is that thing which is attached to Trump. He's sort of a symbol of that because the message I got was that Biden is Akhenaten, is the new Akhenaten, who was a Egyptian pharaoh that became pharaoh in the middle of a famine. Now, I'm not saying that he became pharaoh because of the famine, although I don't actually know Egyptology enough, and somebody might correct me on this if that kind of thing works in ancient times. But in a way, it's this though. Like, Biden is the new Akhenaten. He comes in as representative of a system that is very good at saving people from a traumatizing situation, a traumatized state, a PTSD thing. But it's also and I'm just talking about the powers that be. This is the powers that have been. This is the power that always were. They stole this global system, I believe. I think they usurped it. It's like what Treebeard said in Lord of the Rings. Usurpers, imposters. Because I don't think they invented it. I don't think this kind of thing would have been invented by somebody who was evil. But they're using this global system because it was a system that was came up with druids, I would believe, to help people globally with much of the things that he was talking about in the video, like crystals, music, energy. So the problem is servitude. Because if Trump plus Biden equals servitude, then Biden is servitude minus Trump, and Trump is servitude minus Biden. Does servitude exist in both situations? It's just which talking heads are we looking at? So the problem is servitude. Now, servitude is something that invites people to violently rise up. It's very in these days. To overthrow your servitude. But that's an illusion. He who kills the king always becomes the new tyrant. Everybody knows this. Actually, that's how you become the new king. In, I would not say always, but in this dark age that we live in, this is more or less the rule. But ultimately, we are coming out of a dark age. Otherwise, I would not be talking. I never thought I would be talking about all this in my life. I was very used to hiding. And I thought that I would just not talk about any of this. But I feel like I'm definitely gonna make more videos, not just on astrology, but on ancient history, languages. Because there's a need. We need to know what really is. Because if we buy the what is not, that's basically what servitude is. And the only way to see what is to not attack and destroy what is not, because energy cannot be killed. And energy cannot be destroyed. Energy can only be transformed, transmuted, and transferred. Cannot be destroyed. And in a way, as much as that may be repugnant, the child that chooses to be a child to Mother Earth has that choice. So, no, I don't think and I'm very pacifist in this way. Very absolute pacifist almost. I will not say absolute, but in sense of, what is the honor to kill your brother? And as much as, having to define what is a brother, the last time I checked, we live on a very small planet next to each other. I mean, I might not like this all the time, but I generally do. I like pretty much everybody. That I have more in common with all the people that's alive today than what I'm supposed to consider to be my people that has lived before me, because that was a different time space. And same goes with everybody. In a way, servitude is an illusion. I mean, there's no simple way of saying that. Besides this, it is an illusion. I mean, that's probably a good place to end, because I should probably start on a whole topic of this. But it's just to say, to kill the tyrant, no matter how justified it seems, is never going to bring the result that one seeks. To take a life is to kill a part of yourself. And that, if I'd not read so many times repeatedly from people who have killed, to say that I see the face, and especially the eyes, of those I killed every day, like all the time. That's a terrible thing. And oftentimes people kill simply because of an emotion, an overwhelming, inexpressible emotion. And then they have to bear that for the rest of their kind of already destroyed, shattered life, because they were deceived into taking the life of a brother or a sister, but a fellow man. And there's no honor in that. There's a great movie by Clint Eastwood about this called Gran Torino. Kind of makes me cry when I think about that movie, but we must not betray our children. We must not continuously perpetuate this doublespeak that war is peace, slavery is freedom, and everything's okay. Everything is okay, but in a way, everything is not okay. The ocean is super polluted. And that, in a way, is because the ocean inside is polluted. The ocean inside is polluted. And the ocean inside is polluted. We are the earth. We are like a miniature version of the earth, the universe. A better way to think of this is not to think of all these things as physical entities, because ultimately, even if they are, they're not. This is metal. This is plastic. This is my hand. This is gold. All of these have different vibrations. Think of quantumly. This is not really here. This is not the scissors you're looking for. This is not the lighter you're looking for. It's more like a cluster of like atoms and stuff vibrating, gyrating at a certain speed. And they're all different speed. This is what makes up their physical difference. This is a different vibration. This is a different vibration. This is a different vibration. This is a different vibration on the gold. This is a different vibration in my physical body. Think of these vibrations like a Beethoven symphony. It's actually, if you could hear it, it's like, it's like it's like a polyphonic symphony going at all times. Think of Antonio Vivaldi, Four Seasons, that everybody knows. He is describing this. He is describing the vibration, the energy behind that which gives form to the different seasons. This is form. It's meaning what? Meaning I'm not a guru. I'm not I'm not trying to give advice. I'm trying to share what I find interesting and what sometimes I'm compelled to say. Sometimes I don't know why I'm compelled to say it, but that's why they call it the compulsion. Usually I find that after. But I'm not in saying that servitude is an illusion, but in saying that servitude is an illusion, in that there is no physical bondage or mental bondage, which is a kind of physical bondage. Ultimately, those two things are linked. I'm drinking a very nice microbrewery. They're not paying me, I just like to promote microbreweries in general. Support your local microbrewery. It's one of the things you can do in getting through the Great Depression of 2020 together. If we all support local producers, because really, to support local producers, your order could be the difference between their business continuing or not. So if you want to have continually, you know, a great variety of food, which we do have on this turtle island, it's a great variety of food of everything. Um, so support your local producer. Now, I'm not saying those bondage does not exist. I'm saying that all those bondage relationships are built on false assumptions. Now, you can drone into a person false assumptions very easily with torture. There's loads of scientific studies. People can look it up on Google without me. It's like checking hey, another cat came in. All the kinds of stuff that they have done on animals, humans, twins, babies, children. Horrible, horrible things. But still, like we pretty much understand that the human mind is not as fragile as they thought, but it's not as resilient as we pretend either. So false assumptions can be made. False assumptions can be programmed and imprinted like a tattoo. But you're a song. I'm a song. The whole thing is a song. That's why it's called univers. A lot of these are musical terms, musical notations. I'll do a podcast itself on that. False assumptions are illusions by definition. Anything that is false is itself an illusion. This is something I'll share with you guys. An ancient wisdom. Because that's actually why there's no reason to cry sometimes when a tower breaks down. Because maybe that tower was built on no foundation, or bad foundation, or it picked the wrong place, Maybe it was built right on a Indian cemetery or a golfer's home. A golf on a golfer's home. I love the movie Caddyshack. Maybe that thing was supposed to fall, because maybe it's wrong to tear up other people's temples and to build on top of, to water their field, to water people's own field with their blood, and not in the natural way, in the feminine way, but in the spilling of the blood. That is dark. And that's kind of what I mean. It's the Spanish colonization of the great areas of the world, Americas, Philippines. And then the changing of the image. Now, who is really a native person? Now, this is an ancient thing. Now, we remember things from past lives, lived here, lived elsewhere. We remember things. Never believe when people say we've only been alive for thousands of years or millions of years. That's nonsense. We've been alive for billions of years, for eons, forever. We are forever, actually. It's what a lot of the ancient texts are about when they say, you will attain immortality because you naturally have that. Like, even your cats know that they have immortality. They just don't share that with you because most people are morons and don't hear cats speak anyway. But you're immortal, like the tree. Like, obviously, the tree will grow from a seed and then it will die, it will decay. But remember what I said? That's form. It's form. Now, somewhere, somehow, if there's still water and air, and the tree will grow. Another tree will grow. Now, that tree, is it different from the tree that died? Now, that's another question. The left brain says yes. The whole brain, or the right brain, says, huh? What? Because the right brain would be like, you're still hung up on that one mask, one costume that we wore for that particular reason, for that particular time. Like, dude, we've moved on. Here, wear another costume. The left brain can get caught up in forms. I've been caught up in forms my whole life, I feel. I'm 30 now. I used to be totally so much into fashion and stuff because I grew up in the cities and I have very strong Taurus energy, and it makes that search for beauty a little bit demented when you're growing up in cities. So I had no immunity against all those images because the Taurian search for beauty is so compulsive and obsessive. And but no, these days I just know to look at like a Renaissance painting or something, like go look at the Harry Clark or like any of the Renaissance stuff. I love the like the Hieronymus Bosch, all those like early Netherlandish masters. Oh, I love those paintings. Or like Goya, that kind of cycles of hell depicting what we are pretending to be human life. All those stuff. It's amazing. And oh no, anyway, the point is actually that's why those art are good. They're not exclusive to form. Formalism is a very stupid, I'm sorry, it is. It's a very snobbish and stupid art history kind of way. Like, yeah, obviously there's ways of symbolism, but like, dude, that's too dumb. Like, the formalism basically is just a way in our history of saying that the shape of something you draw on the canvas, it has more significance than like what the energy of the whole painting conveys, which obviously is ridiculous, because like you're not just looking with your eyes. Every cell in your body has vision and awareness and sensitivity. That's why people, when they get excited and scared, they're like, oh, I feel it in my spine. I feel it in, I have chills. I feel it in my head or whatever. Like, because you're not just looking with your eyes. That's, yeah, that's more like a camera. But mm. I find it funny. I do, because as far as you're a song, you know, you cannot be chained. How do you chain a song? How do you imprison a song? I mean, what's the current technique? Let's look at it. They put it into form. They record it in a CD. It's a form. They sell it. That's further materializing it to exchange for money and make more copies of it. That's copying form. It's like giving birth to form. But that music itself, and this is where, especially now with COVID, live performance is dead. And this is a very dangerous thing, because if children who grow up not knowing that there is an experience of connecting with people with live music, because I'm a musician, I know that it's different. You're right there, the energy is going right to you in a church or whatever. And churches are specifically designed for acoustic reasons. Don't believe people what they will tell you, like it's all the aesthetic or whatever. No, no, no. There's a function to all those shapes and why it's so polished marble and stuff. Sound. Masons are master musicians too. Like people like Johann Sebastian Bach and Mozart. It's nothing like weird that they were Freemasons as well. Well, Bach, I'm not sure if he was a Freemason, but he was kind of a public spiritual leader. So a lot of those things for Bach was not like secret. But anyway, like it's not weird that they're that, because they even this in like Egyptian times or whatever, they were the people who knew how to use sound to move stones. Think about that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that Bach and Mozart knew that. Actually, that might have been one of the main things we lost. But I don't think it's completely lost. Just like probably a lot of people are hiding, like I was hiding. I'm hoping maybe. But even then, that energy is somewhere. It's like we're swimming in a soup basically right now, the Piscean age. But we are becoming the water bearer, the water pourer, the Aquarius. Meaning it's still not really in human form. Aquarius is often represented by a person, man or female, pouring water from a jug. But that's a symbol, because Aquarius is not really there with a jug. That's not actually the Aquarius energy. It's more like symbolizing heavenly waters. Heaven for it's like heaven is fertilizing you by pouring water on you. So no, there's no, like, you kind of start to get what I'm saying. Like there is no, like, you're actually, when you realize who you are, you just deeply meditate, you're much higher ranked than those people who put a chain on your neck, which they can also shoot you or me, but they've not actually. I just realized that's maybe why I am called to share with some of the ancient Chinese stuff. First of all, they're not Chinese. That's a very important point I wanted to make earlier. None of the things we call each other are what they are. They work, these words we call each other, Americans, Chinese, or whatever, or within a nation, groups that call each other. These are names that came up by politicians who thought it was convenient at the time and in a particular situation, that like when your nation was born, according to, ultimately is when your nation started to have a relationship with whatever uh, political body is like ruling over you, kind of trying to squeeze you. And so I have never heard a Chinese person refer to themselves to another Chinese person as Chinese, because just like here, people don't say that. Like, I mean, maybe in some places, I would not generalize, but people's identity always shifted. Identity is an opinion. It's like when people say these days, like, oh, there's so many gender. No, there's not. There's many opinions. An opinion is not, I mean, ultimately, an identity is not only an opinion, but much of what is going on right now with the gender movement is an opinion. It's like disguising an opinion as a gender, which is not. There's only two genders because you only need two genders to make a child. If there was a third gender needed, then sure. But if there isn't, only two genders. Now, I'm not saying that is the same thing as a sexual orientation or who you like to sleep with. That's a very different thing. But I'm saying that's the definition of gender. It means category. It means because in a situation where men and women are not making a child, the fundamental difference between them are not super large. Although I know people will throw tomatoes at me for this, but fundamentally the difference is not very large. Much of physical difference come about when many ages people sort of do the same thing. So physiologically they would change a bit, but if they start to do different things, women would get more muscles and bones would grow thicker and stuff like that. But that stuff changes. So gender really only exists in a situation where you are making a child. So all that really it's nonsense. I think kind of getting what I'm saying. Like when they would say, "Oh, gender politics exists in everywhere or in an office." First of all, in an office they do not exist. They specifically in an office should not exist. Or if they do, it's kind of a sign for you to say this is no longer an office. It's become something else. It's maybe is a palace disguised as an office. Because in palace situations, sure, the gender relationship is another story. But in offices, technically, they're supposed to be like the military. There is no gender. You're a soldier. You're not a person. You're not a sexual human